A beautiful morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition on Family Talk with Simi. This morning, I want to talk on frustrating the will of God in marriage. The other day, I was talking with my husband and I asked him, do you believe in the will of God in marriage? He said yes. And I asked him again, I said, is it possible to frustrate the will of God in marriage? And he said yes. And I agree with him. Marriage is a sacred institution. It is an institution ordained by God for the purpose of companionship, for the purpose of love, togetherness, for the man and his wife to cleave to one another in body, in spirit, to love themselves, to help themselves, to help each other carry burden, to be a support system for one another. But unfortunately, so many of us are frustrating this sacred institution because of, I don't know, should I say lack of understanding, or maybe ignorant or wickedness on our parts. It is very possible to frustrate the will of God, and a whole lot of us are doing it. I've heard people say my husband is the will of God for me, my wife is the will of God for me. I'm not disputing that. I believe in the will of God in marriage, but why are we still having issue even when that person is the will of God? It is because of our attitude. When God give you a gift, for example, if God gives you a child and you refuse to nurture that child, you refuse to care for that child, you refuse to feed that child is not feeling fine, you refuse to attend to that child, you didn't take the child to the hospital, you refuse to teach that child values, you refuse to inculcate principles in that child, you just left that child unattended to. That child, if that child does not die, that child will become a pain in your neck. That child will be a pain to you when he or she eventually grow up. That means you are not going to get anything good from that child. The same thing applies to marriage. Even if God bring that man and that woman to you and hand them over to you on a platter of gold and say, take, this is the person I'm giving to you. If you do not nurture that relationship with that person, if you don't walk in love, in peace and unity with that person, if you don't play your part, that marriage would go wrong. There is nothing wrong with the institution of marriage. God made everything available, everything. If we follow the principle, we are going to be fine. But a lot of us have refused to do that. We still want to be selfish in the confine of marriage. We still want to be married and still live as though we are single. You still want to follow all those your side chicks, all those your ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend. You don't want to leave all those relationships behind. You still want to be selfish. You don't want to contribute to your quota. You don't want to work in peace and unity with your spouse. It will not work. It will not work. The Bible says in the book of Genesis 2:24, the man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh, in unity, in peace, in body, in spirit, in taking decision, in working together to make that marriage work, to raise their children. That is the power of accountability, the power of unity. And if it is lacking in our marriage, even if it is the will of God, that marriage will not work. That marriage will not work. I heard of a lady who got married at the age of 40, And before she was 45, she was out of that marriage. And I was asking, wow, how can somebody wait that long to get married at 40 and she cannot stay in that marriage? And the person said, why this lady was believing God for a husband, she was going to all the mountains, redemption camp, Shiloh. She was going everywhere. And when God eventually answered her, she could not stay. Could it be that when this woman was asking God for a life partner, she was not building herself? She was not preparing herself mentally, emotionally, psychologically to make that marriage work. We need to go back to the foundation and begin to ask God to teach us. Marriage is sweet, it is honorable, but we need to do the needful so that it can work. We need to make it work. We need to make our spouse happy, and it will start with our attitude, our change of mindset. I hope this helps. When next I come your way, I'm going to be talking on some other interesting issue. I remain your friend Simisola Enyila. Thank you.